Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 79 of the Town Social. We knew they were coming, we knew there'd be increases, but we didn't think it'd be quite this bad, did we? My name's Nick Barlow. I'll be hosting this special episode tonight on the season ticket price release. Joining me tonight is Tristan Matley-Kyle and returned from his jollies, Gaz K. Guys, welcome. Thank you so much for everybody's comments already. Obviously, it's going to be quite emotive. There's a lot of angry people on there on social media. So, evening to everybody. Let's get down to it. Get your comments in. Everything you think about these prices. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this up now. Let me see. So, obviously, as we know, the alt prices £249 for adults, £159 for under 21s. 129 for under 18s and 49 quid for under 14s. Now, we've changed the system, obviously, depending on where you sit in the stadium. If you sit in the lower tier of the Terrace Together stand, the pricing is essentially the same, apart from the, I think it is pretty much the same, isn't it? Yeah, it is. So if you sit in there, we'll be all right, won't we? It's going to be like the fucking wall in there, isn't it? It's there's going to be that many people sat in there. But unfortunately, if you sat anywhere else in the ground, we're going to see some sizable increases. And someone has kindly done this. We got this from social media. So if you sit in the Terrace Together upper, then on average, you're going to see a 49% increase in ticket price. 68 in the Kilner Bank. Let's just take this off, actually, just a sec. Let's take this banner off so you can see it properly there in the cowshed look. So 60% in the cowshed, 78% in the Riverside lower, and 87% in the Riverside upper. I mean, gents, let's get your initial thoughts on this. Gaz, we knew there were going to be some sizable price hikes, but I thought personally it were going to be staggered. So eventually, maybe up it to 300, 350, and just gradually increase it over time, because obviously we have the survey from the HTSA saying, look, fans don't really want to pay more than 300 to 350, and it was all we listen and we hear you and all this, we've consulted and this, that and the other, and then bang, some people are seeing 60, 70, 80% price hikes. Mental.
Yeah, well, you're right. Now I think everybody, I've not seen anybody on social media today, because it's been read out on it, saying that they didn't know this was coming. Everybody knew a price rise was coming, and the club promised us it was going to be pragmatic, and it'd be well communicated. So it's not, the increase in of itself, I don't think it's a shock to anybody. They'd hinted that there was going to be tiered pricing by stand again, so I guess that wasn't much of a surprise. The ridding of some of the age band categories, which I know Chris is probably going to talk about, wasn't ideal, but I just despair. The club just continues to shoot itself in the foot. What a way to celebrate our 100-year thrice champions celebratory year by fucking sticking prices up 80%. Nothing says thank you very much like an 80% price increase. And it does feel like that this is it starts to feel a bit like the PR disasters. I was whinging the other week about the whole Terriers together, all together, whatever the strap. They're just strap lines. They don't mean out. If anybody saw the video today that was with when I eventually found it after clicking the links on the town post, it was just boozy talking. There was no emotion built into it. No, come and get it. It's going to be better. And my views on Big Kev. I'm a fan. But, the guy's he's now overseeing the latest debacle of what has been a series of debacles for the last 6 or 7 years since we got relegated from the Premier League. Bar the 1 year where Carlos almost jammed the place back in the Premier League, let's be honest, it's been an absolute shit show. And since he's been the chairman, he's got us in a worse place than when he started. So, I think he naively passed on the increase last year. He likes to say he's listening, and he likes to react to tidal waves on social media, and so that happened last year when we all said he shouldn't put prices up, so he didn't. And now it does feel like we're getting last year's price increase and this year's price increase all rolled into one. But the thing I find really pernicious is the increase on kids and OAPs. I find that real pernicious. The kids are tomorrow's fan, and I know it's a twee thing and all of that. But for every kid that comes, there's at least one adult in there for every one or two kids that come, and it's a massive gamble. You know, I saw the note that I think Terry Jack had put on his Twitter saying that, you know, they can afford to lose 30% of the fans and they'd be no worse off. And I do think there's a part of that, and they're thinking, well, if they lose 30%, and half of that 30% then come to 6 or 8 games and pay through the gate, they're going to be better off than if they don't renew. But, you know, at a time where we're hanging on to our playoff place by the skin of our teeth, we've got no permanent manager, we've wanged in the youth team coach because we've managed to cock the job up. You know, we're sacking managers like nobody's business. Our transfer activity over the last 2 years has been wanged. Injuries galore. You know, and this is all on top of, by the way, having a championship budget in probably the worst League One of the year. It just all feels a bit ill-judged. We knew the price increase would come in, but it just feels like too big a leap in one step for me. And I do think they're going to see some burn. You know, I said the other day, social media isn't the real world. So what people say on Twitter and what they do in real life are two different things, right? But I honestly feel that this is going to be a bit of a turning point for the crowds. And I think even in the Championship, there'll be some 10,000 season tickets next year. Easy.
Right, we're done.
Okay. Sorry, yeah. Yeah. You know, I feel
nailed.
No, but I feel, you know, I got the piss taken out of me last time I said this, but, you know, I'm in a really fortunate position, right, that, you know, I can afford the increase. But, you know, and I've seen some of the comments on social media which I find really distasteful. People saying, well, if all you can afford is $2.49, go sit in the Terriers Together stand. Well, it's not how it is. You know, people go to football for a variety of fucking reasons, don't they? They sit in the same seat. They sit with the mates. They sit with the dad. They sit, you know, some of the responses have been really glib and really disappointing. So, sorry, Tristan. Anyway, sorry, mate.
No, you were spot on, mate. I completely agree. And I think you've hit the nail on the head. You know, it becomes less about loyalty and the people. You know, and dare I read it out. The clubs. The club put the statement out, didn't they? The marketing strapline. A town built on industry, a town built on tradition. This is our community. This is our town. Well, it isn't, is it? You know, they're not looking after their own. They're not looking after the community. You know, the community is if the community is that important to them, you know, people like and listen, I'm probably not in the same camp as you guys, but I can afford the hike as well. But just to give you an example, my 6-year-old, his ticket's gone from 49 quid to 99 quid. Now, in the grand scheme of things, it's £4.30 a game. I'm absolutely not arguing with that. But the fact it's gone up 102% is just, it's beggars belief. It's absolute beggars belief, you know. And I think ultimately the thing here is, it just feels like they're out of touch. It feels like it's being run by people that don't know Huddersfield, that aren't from the area, that aren't interested to be a part of the area. You know, Kev seems to have he and Carmichael Dave seem to have been kind of in and around the area and seem to try and get a good handle on the area. And you know, this just feels like about 20 steps backwards. And you know, I get where people are coming from, that people are saying, you know, we've to expect a hike. Absolutely. We expected increases, you know, and I also see that people say, you know, compared to other teams, it don't make it right that other teams are that high. You know, we laughed at other teams that they paid such high fees, you know, that their season tickets were so high. And I think ultimately we've got to a point where, quite as you eloquently said, Gaz, you know, we've just watched for the past 5 years absolute turgid stuff, you know, and we've gone through quite difficult periods, you know. Oh, it can't get worse than this. Oh, it did. Oh, it can't get worse than this. Oh, it just did. You know, and then at the end of it, they're putting prices up like this. And I just think it's, I understand all the finance behind it. I understand that, the club has to make money and that it has to, that we have to try and find some finances elsewhere. But there's lots of ways to do that, and this could be done in a structured and a staggered kind of way. I work in the events industry. We sell tickets, year on year. We'd never increase them by that percentage. We just get laughed out of the place. So, I think some people might just have to look at themselves in the mirror and, and realise this, it's not been very well received.
And I don't think we're going to see. I was talking to Connor on the way home, and Connor saying, I think there'll be a part 2 to this, and the club may come back like they did. I don't think they will. I think Kev's getting to the point now with Huddersfield Town where he says he's listening. What he really means is he's listening to the stuff he wants to listen to. Because if he were listening, as we well know, they grumbled about senior management team at Huddersfield Town would already be on the dole, and people would be feeling more encouraged. If he hadn't spent umpteen million quid paying off half a dozen average fucking managers, he might be in a better position. So, can I just say, by the way, Philip McKenzie has put the comment of the year on here. He said, subscribe so Killer can put his lights on. Have you seen that one? Well, Philip. That's completely distracted me. But yeah, I think the other thing that hurt me as well is the length of time they've given. 5 weeks. If you've got a family and you've got your bills gone from 600 quid to 1,000 quid, finding 400 quid out of thin air inside a month, one payday, it's almost impossible. And we were talking about the payment plan. Well, the payment plan's a fucking rip-off as well. £40 fee per ticket. It's a rip-off.
I think the problem is, obviously we all knew there was going to be an increase. They're supposed to have consulted with the fans. HSA did the survey. Surely it would have been more appropriate to have staggered the increase. So this season it goes up to 300 or 350 maximum. Next season, 350 to 400 and so forth, if that's the way it has to go. But I think Max is right here. He's asking the question, do you think it's increase to account for last season's or what is this season's price freeze? And I think it is. I think it is. But the problem is, like Gaz has said, they've wasted so much money on Dross that they never needed to do this anyway. If they'd have just spent the money more wisely, they'd have had more money. I mean, what's the difference between the price hike next season and this season? It's Reece Healy's wage, isn't it? A player who we've never seen. So all this is going to do is alienate a big portion of the fan base. Now, look, we all talk's cheap in it. Everyone's kicking off now. And I said this in our chat. Everyone's kicking off now. Everyone's pissed off. 80% will renew next season. They will, because it's a habit, innit? You go with your friends, your family, you sit in the same seat, watching the same shit week in, week out. And it's very hard to break that habit. And they know that. They're not daft. They know that majority of people, fucking idiots like me and Gaz, and we'll probably pay it again and trail down thinking it's going to be better. And then realistically, it's just more money for Cartwright to spaff, innit? On rubbish players, and then we'll probably be disappointed again next season. But I just feel sorry for the people who are struggling financially and that have been to every game, that it's a big part of their lives, and this has now completely excluded them. Yeah, you could say, go and sit down in that other tier. Well, that's only small. Well, not everyone's going to be able to sit in there. I mean, it's pretty rubbish anyway, let's be honest, down there. It's empty for a reason. The sun's either glaring into your eyes or you piss wet through. So I understand it. If you look at it in terms of other clubs in League One, like your Peterboroughs, that some of their tickets going for 470 quid. So it's comparable. But does that make it right? Like Tristan said, why I think football should be affordable for everybody. I don't think football should be more than 20 quid a game for anybody. And if you look at if you sit in the Riverside Upper, the average cost with a season ticket's £19.90 and 9p a game. So what are the prices going to be per match? 30 quid, 35 quid? I mean, that's if you can get up in the Riverside Upper, because they've shut the lifts. So if you've got a disability, you've been kindly told you'll have to sit elsewhere, which I noticed in there. That's nice, isn't it? You know, some of them people's probably been going 20 years, but if you can't make the stairs, you'll have to sit down the bottom. That was brilliant. Top banana.
Nick,
You know,
I'm just looking at them prices, you know, and I've got, if anybody in the chat is part of the Cowshed Loyal in the South Stand, but I'll look at that increase for the Cowshed Loyal, because I actually thought that might be an area they try and protect. You know, they moan constantly about the lack of atmosphere at home games. And actually, the upper tier behind the goal, the Terriers to get I'm not calling Terriers together, stand behind the goal. You know, that price increase is 90 quid, but the Cowshed's gone up 120 quid. Why is that? I mean, has anybody got a I don't know if anybody's got a view. You know, is that going to risk? Well, little atmosphere we do get in the ground from the Cowshed Loyal in there. Is there a risk that these people are going to say, oh, "Fuck that for a game of soldiers"? You know, if I'm going to pay extra money, I might as well go sit somewhere where I can see the game properly down the side, or maybe even disband it altogether. What do you think?
Yeah, you wonder whether they actually would prefer to have away fans across the full stand, don't you?
If we get to the Championship,
or in
100%.
Yeah.
Why don't we just roll out a red carpet for them? Why don't we give them, champagne on ice for when they walk in? Best fucking stadium in. I've said this before. It's the best fucking stand in the stadium, that South Stand, for acoustics. And we're so soft with away fans and away teams. We just bow down and let them have the best stand. Why? Shove them in that. I'm with you guys. I don't call it that. I just say other end behind goal. But shove them up there, out at way. It's awful in there. Honestly, it's terrible. And I know some people sitting there, and that's fine. That's your tradition of what you used to. That's fine. But it's not great up there. The conditions are awful. If you sat up in the top tier, you're away from the pitch, any singing would get drowned out. Shove them the fuck up there and make that entire end the Cowshed end. And make some of it make it safe standing and all while you're at it. And let's get some bloody atmosphere going. But you're right, Gaz, that just completely puts anybody off going in there to me. Because that is a massive hike for what? For nothing.
I think something as well, Nick, that kind of Gaz alluded to. You know, we want fans to come along. You know, it's really easy for kids to go and support Man United, Liverpool, City, maybe not Man United, City, Liverpool, you know, whoever else, Arsenal. It's really easy these days. You know, kids all over the place. You know, you see them wearing different Premier League shirts. You want kids to be able to come to the stadium. You want them to be able to afford 49 quid for an under 11 was spot on. Absolutely nailed it. You could not criticise them one iota for that. The fact that they've knocked it up to 100 quid now, you know, there'll be so many kids that just don't bother, and then they rock up for one game or, you know, 2 games here and there. It's neither in nor there. It's not a legacy thing, is it? You're not making fans out of them. You're just turning them away. And I just think it's just out of touch. It's completely out of touch. You know, and ultimately if you can kind of harness these kids and you know, bring them into the club, they're the ones that are going to spend the money. They're the ones, you know, you go into the shop, 6 to 7 year old or 5 to 6 year old kits are the fake kits that you can get in Spain or Italy or whatever, you know, the sublimated kits. We do nothing for the kids. And I just find it backwards, proper backwards. You know, if anyone's going to twist an adult's arm, it's the kids, innit? You know, I want to go and watch Town today. Do you mind if we go and watch Town? My mate at school watches Town. Oh, how much is it? Oh, it's 100 quid season ticket. Ah, no, you're all right. you know, £100 plus whatever the parents is, just it just isn't worth it. It just, you know, it just feels kind of really backwards in how they're thinking with this. And I think probably as well, it is worth, and there's a comment there. This is a really one-sided view from Anthony, right? Anthony, I completely get that the club has to make money, completely get it. But I think what we're trying to say here is the jump that the club have made will alienate people, and it'll alienate people at a time when people are already feeling probably detracted from the club and sorry, detached from the club, and you know, and actually we should be trying to pull people into the club. You know, we've dropped leagues, we've dropped into the lower tiers. The best way to get people involved in the club is to be attractive to them. And this is just, you know, the football's not attractive, the pricing's not attractive. What part, you know, as much as you want to say it's a one-sided view, what else do you want us to do? You know, what else? The club is just not. It's not. I've said it a few times. It's not in touch, is it?
He'd asked for feedback from HPSA, Tristan. It got feedback, and that feedback was put him up £100, which is a 30% increase. Yeah. You know, that feels really fair, really pragmatic. You know, and somebody was commenting about Peterborough. I know it was on here on social media about Peterborough having higher ticket price and us. Well, I would argue I've never seen a shit game when I go to Peterborough, and I've been to Peterborough to watch games that don't involve town. By the way, they're an exciting team. They play a certain way. They have a strategy as a club. They buy these exciting non-league players. They develop them and sell them for big money. They have something about them, Peterborough, right? You can argue, well, where's he got them? They're fucking near the bottom of the table. But, you know, this is the bit I don't get, right? He's increasing the prices. Somebody put the 4Ps up earlier, didn't they? You know, you look at the 4Ps for town, the product, which is the one and only thing that really matters in football, in professional football, the only thing that matters is the product, and the product is shite, and it's been shite ever since Kevin bought the club, right? And I'm a massive Kevin fan. I'm a self-confessed Kev fan. I think the bloke's in the right place. I think he's got the right intentions, but the product is absolutely fucking abysmal. What other supplier in the world would play? You know, I'm going to have an 89% price increase times 2. Who else in my right mind would I accept an 87% price increase from anybody else that buy anything off? What a bollocks! I'm still going to pay it like a mug and like a sucker, because the you know, it isn't just, fortunately for Kevin, it isn't just about the football, and I think that's the bit the Americans don't always get, and that's the problem. You know, I just the product is absolutely dog shit. We're hanging on by our fingernails to the playoffs. Hanging on. We've now got the fucking youth club coach the youth team coach in charge of the first team, and I hope it's a success, because you know, Johnny Worthington's a proper Huddersfield through and through. He's one of us, isn't he? You know, I hope it's a roaring successful lad. But you know, let's see how we feel after we play the next 2 games. If we get pumped in the next 2 games, you know, it feels very opportunistic. You know, we win 5-1, rolled out. You've got 5 weeks to part with your money, or else. It felt really opportunistic to me.
Anthony, I'll just reply to that, mate. I look. I agree with you. There's his family stand, this kid, but I mean, it's hardly teacups and roses in there, is it? His family, there's families all over in ground. There's families at South Stand. Like, I think if you're going to generate an atmosphere, you've got to do something to generate an atmosphere. And just having the singing section in a little corner of that stand is not good enough. And that's proven to be not good enough because the atmosphere is awful most of the time. Them away fans have got it too easy. They get the best acoustics in the whole stadium. That would not happen anywhere else. It wouldn't happen anywhere else. And I'm not having this, it's for health and safety reasons. They can't go in that other stand. I'm not having that, because you go to any other ground, you go to like your Nottingham Forest, and all fans are intermingling. You've got to go past each other, and then you just go into stand. It's not a problem anywhere else. except for Huddersfield. Why? Why is it an issue for ours and not anybody else? And yeah, you could say you're moving families out, but isn't that what this pricing is going to do? Moving families out of certain stands, moving them into others, stop them from going. So it's just my opinion, and I accept your opinion. That's fine. But to me, we have to do more to encourage a proper home end with a proper atmosphere. And they do it. Cowshed Loyal do a great job with the resources that they've got. They do the best, and that's. But I think we should be, as a club, helping them more to generate better atmosphere. And for me, that is transforming that south stand and filling it with our fans, not away fans. But that's just me.
But even in the current structure, though, Nick, if that's not possible, then I go back to my original point, which is the Cowshed Loyal are the only ones that try and generate any atmosphere in the ground, and so why have they been almost penalised? They're usually the most loyal. The Cowshed Loyal boys are the ones who go to all the away games in the main, aren't they? It just I think if I'd have been making the decision, it'd be completely different anyway. But then again, that's probably why I'm not in charge of a football club, one would suggest. And Steve made a point, and I think somebody else said further up that we're expecting the accounts, aren't we? Does it this week or next week? And the loss last year was 6 million. I think it'll be 10 million. I honestly think it'll be either be 10 million or more, the loss. But do you know why that is? Because we've got fucking relegated from the Championship. So, they could bemoan the losses, but they made them a damn sight worse with the piss poor decisions they made in the first season in charge. And have they improved that decision making in the second period of their ownership? Not on the pitch. Everything else they're doing is great. But the only thing that matters is on the pitch, and all this is going to do now is generate even more apathy.
Yeah, and what about the deadline? By the way, it's not long, is it? 1 p.m. 24th of April, so that's one payday to try and figure it out whether you're going to renew or not. Do they think by rushing it, people's going to be pressured into getting a ticket? Because I'm not sure that's going to really work. Give them time. Why not give them a bit more time? I didn't really understand that either.
Yeah, I think it's to drive people to buy tickets before they know whether we're in Championship or League One in it, ultimately. And if they manage to scrape through to the Championship, all of a sudden people will be trying to jump on cheaper prices. Well, they won't be able to, will they? They'll have to jump on more expensive prices.
But I don't understand that thinking. Does it fucking matter? If we renew now or you renew when we're in the Championship, what does it matter? Do we not want to sell more season tickets if we get promoted to Championship, or do we just think that's an opportunity to milk more brass? Which obviously they do, don't they? If we get to the Championship and we get another 5,000 season ticket holders, I'll be up at moon. I don't care if they pay the same price as me. Does it matter? It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Look, Nick.
You what, mate? Sorry?
Ian Matthewman's agreeing with you. Look, he'd move it from Southampton. And he's
not
the TT.
I don't know, mate. I mean, I think they would, because you've got people that try and sing in Kilnabank on that corner. You've got people that try and sing up Riverside in that corner. So why not just bring them together in one stand? I think if you made it an attractive option, if you got the atmosphere bouncing in there, I think people would. I think people would get in there. I think it'd be a million times better than what it is now. But I mean, we'll never know, will we? Because it doesn't look like it's ever going to happen. But it'd be interesting to do. I think it would make a massive difference if we did that to the atmosphere, because you've got one dedicated end. Everyone can go in that end, partying, having a good time when we're losing 3-0, singing their hearts out. I think it'd be brilliant. But you're right, guys. We talk about the money, and it's a product on the pitch. If it's worth coming, people will pay it. Quality always sells. And unfortunately, the quality over the last few years has been absolutely garbage. Now, do we think that with these extra prices, is that going to give us more revenue to buy extra players? Is it really going to make that much of a difference? I don't think it will. Do you? What's it going to equate to difference? A mil, 2 million? If people renew, that's not going to, might get us one player. Yeah. But is it going to make such a big difference to what we're seeing on the pitch? I mean, do you trust them to even get the right players with it? That's a question.
Well, my view on the strategy or the lack of it, I don't see how they. Well, as you would expect, this is because we've got to be careful. This don't become an echo chamber. We said right at the beginning, and we have to keep saying it. We all know prices had to go up. Nobody's saying there shouldn't have been a price increase. I don't think there are. I don't think anybody in the comments is saying that either. I just think the prices have been recategorizations by stand and taking people out is the issue. And if it raises another 1 or 2 million quid, that's probably. I bet we're paying Freddie Ladapo £1 million over 2 years. In football terms, the difference is neither here nor there, is it? It really isn't.
I think no as well, guys. If I don't know, did we sell about 15,000 for this season?
Yeah, something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. If this knocks out 2,000 people type thing from coming into the stadium, how many of them get a drink at half time, get food and beverage, and over kind of 23 games in a season, you're kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul, aren't you?
Yeah.
So surely, and I think that's why when Hoyle was here, that move to make the season tickets a bit cheaper and to try and fill the stadium wasn't a bad move, in the sense that they got numbers into the stadium and got people, they got people committing to paying season cards and all that kind of stuff that probably didn't always rock up at the games, but they got people committed to them, and then the other side of it is that they then had people that were interested. They were buying programs, they were buying food, beverage, they were buying shirts and all this kind of stuff. You just kind of narrowing the market that you're trying to sell to, aren't you? And it all just seems a little bit short-sighted in some respect. But then is it just a ploy to kind of try and level debts out and Kev's on his way?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure he's going to be here forever, is he? I don't think he's not made any secret, as he's not far off on completing on the stadium by the sound of it now. Now egg chasers are fucked off to Halifax. That's on the horizon, isn't it? I've just been looking at it. Somebody posted his quote from August last year. Only way to raise prices if we increase value to you, the fans. And I think this is again the Americanism in Kev's head. He's going to be going, well, I built you H-Town. Well, I've done you all this stuff. I've made the stadium nicer. This is value to the fans. The only value that matters to us as fans is a team on the pitch that gives its all in every game. And if the team had played like it did on Saturday, in 80% of the occasions this year, I might feel slightly better about a £190 increase in the season ticket, but they haven't. It's been absolutely dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. And I have, as you alluded to earlier, Nick, I have absolutely no confidence it's going to be any better. I still think we'll make the playoffs. I'm not sure whether we'll get through the semis. I do think we'll make the playoffs. And that shows you how bad this league is. And we should be smashing it. We've got a championship budget. We should be second place in this league, and we're not there. But Kevin's got to, I guess, try and drag us into the 21st century. The other worry I have, by the way, is they talked about gradual increases over the years. Does that mean this is the first of many of these kind of price increases?
Maybe it is being staggered out. Maybe it's good at next one will be 500. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe. Do you think a part of it is we've been spoilt though? Do you think that's what it is? Because Dino, obviously, we've had it for so long, and it's just not increased with anybody else or in inflation. Do you think that that's been the problem, that we've just got used to it for so long? Any kind of increase was always going to be met with disdain, wasn't it?
Mm.
But I think we've said it. I think we've said it a few times on here, Nick. You know, everybody and it's not just on this pod. You know, we've done it weeks ago. We acknowledge that prices will go up. You know, we absolutely acknowledge that and said that would be the case. I think for most people, it's just the bitter pill to swallow is the size of the increases. You know, and the fact that, you know, essentially, quite as Gaz has said, it's just the fact that they tried to make out they were going to stagger it, and all of a sudden we're up, and is quite as Gaz says, is it just going to go on and on and on and on? You know, I saw a tweet earlier on just to bring a bit of lightheartedness to it. 249 quid to watch Aaron Moy tear Man United apart. 419 quid to watch Freddie Ladapo look like a celebrity in Soccer Aid.
Poor Fred.
Just while you were talking, I've just done a quick compound because I'm a calculation. So I think it was 2017, I think, wasn't it? Was it 16 or 17? Anyway, I've gone with 16. So if you start with £250 price season tickets 9 years ago, we put them up 5% a year, you would be at 390 quid.
Yeah.
So, you know, they've basically wiped out 9 years in one leap. They've moved us forward 5% a year for 9 years in one leap is what they've done.
And you can see that obviously there's been a lot of planning around it. You can see where they've got the figures from, and they've compared it with other clubs in League One, and we're probably bang in the middle, I would say. I think there's clubs like your Bolton slightly cheaper on average, but I think we're probably bang in the middle. So in terms of, if you just look at it in figures alone, it's probably right. But if you look at it in the context of we've not had a price rise for God knows how long, and then suddenly it's going up by 60, 70, 80%. I mean, that is for people where, you know, people are really struggling financially. And it's those that you know, it's all right if you can afford it. You know, I'm lucky enough to be able to afford the increase if I decide to pay it. But there are a lot of people that can't. And I hate the idea of those people missing out because they can't afford to attend the games. I just hate it.
There was a lad on Twitter, Nick, as well. Said something along the lines of he turned 22 in January. So when he bought his season ticket, it sits in the upper tier of the Riverside stand, and it was something like 159 quid. Because they've recategorized the age groups now, and is into the he was classed as an under 23. He's now over obviously the last one, so he's an adult now. It's 439 quid for him. 176% increase.
Oof. I mean, that's mad, isn't it?
It's that kind of stuff. It's that kind of stuff that isn't palatable, you know. So absolutely, you know, I acknowledge, and we'll keep saying it till we're blue in the face. We acknowledge that there'll have to be an increase, and if it was sensible, we probably wouldn't be sat on here tonight chatting about it, to be quite honest with you. So, you know, ultimately, the position I think that most fans are, or certainly what I've seen, is, yeah, fine, there's an increase, but this is just too much. You know, it isn't spread out. It's as Gaz has just said, they've just wiped out 9 years in one go.
It's probably no more expensive than if we've had a. So, you know, I guess in the context of is it expensive or not? It's not isn't the question, is it? But no, and also by the way, you know, this whole thing of season tickets being a bad thing, I really don't like that argument. You know, that's been an argument I've seen on social media today. Well, having low prices is holding us back, is it? I'm not so sure about that. We've got a championship budget, so how does that work? It's yeah, because I was just thinking about, well, what could the club do? You know, I mean, we sit here criticising them. So what could they do about this? The problem is they've given themselves no time. They've not consulted on this. They've got HTSA. They've got the ATT panel. They could have called an extraordinary meeting and said, "This is what we're thinking, guys." They would have had this feedback directly, and then they could have, you know, they could easily have set up a scheme where people were struggling, out of work, OAPs, could have applied for a fucking grant and they could have subsidised 3,000 tickets. Your price, instead of going up 140 quid, we'll put yours up 40 quid and the club will spend the 100. And you can keep coming. There's loads of ways they could have helped the people who really need help, the people who've given their loyalty and time and support to this club, long before Kevin Nagle even knew we fucking existed, by the way. Now we're going to get brushed aside. There's loads of things the club could have done to soften this blow. If they said to me, every season ticket's £10 more, we're going to take all them £10 and we're going to reinvest them in subsidising tickets for people who can't afford it, I'd have fucking paid it. But they don't think laterally. They've got people at their fingertips, ATT, HTSA, Cowshed Loyal, people like that who'll give them this feedback directly, but they're not listening. And I think this is my frustration with Kev, is that we're talking about this being an echo chamber in here. We're all saying how terrible it is. I worry they sit in the boardroom at the John Smith doing the same thing. Don't worry about them, lads. They don't fucking know what they're talking about out there. Just you fucking stick with us, Kev. We know what we're fucking talking about. They've had consultants in, haven't they, to devise these price rises. I understand. I've just seen on social media. Who fucking all got paid to come up with that? We've come up with better ideas in 5 minutes on here than they probably did for 50 or 75,000 quid or what they've charged. Fucking madness.
But it's not
any breathing space. Sorry, Chris.
It's a numbers game, though, Gaz, isn't it? Because the numbers do add up on paper, but football isn't about just what's on paper. It's the emotion behind it. It's the tradition. It's families. It's people, not pounds. And this is it's not like a normal business. There's so many other things at play. You just look at the figures and yeah, that's fine, bang, we'll go with that. But when you look at the wider context of what it means to people and the significant percentage increase, no matter where you are really in the stand, unless you're right down in that bottom stand, it's a game changer for quite a few fans, this. And if it was up to me, I'd be doing, I think, the club should be doing sponsored events and things to raise money to subsidise tickets for disadvantaged people. And because it's just not right. It's not right on them that their club has essentially turned them away. This will deprive them of being able to go and watch the team that they've loved for years and years and years. And it's sad. And it's slightly, if you do stagger it more slowly, but over a longer period, it's a bit easy to adjust. But when it's bang, such a massive increase in one go, that just completely, that's done away with it, isn't it? For quite a while.
We're not in Northern California, Nick, are we? And Kev only needs to go across that bridge and go and walk around Town Crescent. I'm not dissing Town Crescent, by the way, but there's plenty of places in Huddersfield where people are struggling to put food on the table. This isn't Northern California. This isn't Sacramento with whatever his town centre is that he built. People driving around in Teslas and having £40 breakfast. That's just not where we are. We're a northern working class town. Go into the town centre and have a look. If he wants to see what Huddersfield is really all about. So instead of telling us it's a working class town, go fucking see it then. He stopped in Leeds when it comes to Huddersfield because they've got better restaurants and it's a nicer place. He don't fucking stop in Huddersfield, does he? He hasn't bought an house in Huddersfield, has he? Or rented a flat anywhere in Huddersfield. Fucking car in and out of Leeds city centre.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm proper on one now, aren't I? Sorry. I'm really passionate about them. I'm really passionate about football. Football is a leveler of people. Anybody knows that you can talk to anybody anywhere in the world about football, and it's a conversation. And I think that's the bit that I worry. These kind of things are the bits that drive people out of being real supporters. Somebody mentioned Fire Sticks, that that now the club's not only going up against Fire Stick, and they're right. People can buy a Fire Stick for a year for 150 quid. I'll sit at home, and if you've got every game in the Football League and Premier League on your Fire Stick on 3 o'clock on a Saturday, Huddersfield Town's not top of the list of the ones you're going to watch.
I wonder, just a thought I had. They were on about the Labour government were on about introducing this independent football regulator. Do you think it's something related to that? Do you think there's do you think that they know that it's coming in and there has to be a lot more kind of there's going to be a lot tighter financial stability, or this, there's this thing, I think Killer were telling us about it, that was voted in December, on it, in League One and League Two, I think, around the sustainability of the club and stuff like that. Do we think that they're kind of accepting that they will be in League One, but they somehow need to bring the finances in, so they'll take a bit of pain and a bit of stick, and because that's the way they seem to go. If they weren't willing to take a bit of pain and stick, they'd have got rid of Cartwright by now, wouldn't they? So I do just wonder whether they're kind of a bit like, quite as you've alluded to, Nick, folk will just pay it anyway. Don't worry about it. They'll give us a load of shit on social media, and then they'll pay it anyway. So don't worry about it.
Yep. Yeah, and they priced in the risk, haven't they? At that, they priced in the risk that a third don't. They're still no worse off. They priced the risk in. And they'll be, even when we were absolutely garbage, we used to get 7,000 or 8,000 season ticket holders when we were really poor and it was expensive. So, the gamble will probably, in the medium to long run, pay out for them, won't it?
Yeah. I was going to mention that earlier, Blue Terrier, about Man City. You can get a cheap ticket at Man City, but it doesn't hurt them, does it? It's never held them back, has it? And I know it's in a different league, and they've got Rich Odders, but
yeah, they're all buying on Nation, which kind of helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, but if you look at it in relative terms, we've got a wealthy owner. Do you know what I mean? And I know it's different league with different regulations and stuff, but you can do it. And the thing is, we've got a good fan base. We've got a lot of fans compared to a lot of other clubs in League One. So we can probably afford to charge a little bit less because we've got more throughput, more sales of merchandise and food and drink and the like. So
you can go and watch Bundesliga clubs for the season for probably a third of the price. Bayern Munich, I think you can get a ticket for about €180.
I bet they've got hot water in the bogs as well.
And the lifts work.
And the lifts work, yeah. If you're disabled, you're not disadvantaged. You have to go and sit down there. Yeah, it's James Murgatroyd, carer for a friend who's clicker diagnosed blind, gets a free ticket for the carer, where we just split the cost. Is he going to be affected? Don't know, mate. I mean, if he's blind, I suppose that's an advantage watching town, isn't it? It's not going to, it's, I don't know, mate. It's just talking. I think we're all in agreement that it needs to be, we needed a rise for the sustainability of the football club. I don't think anyone's sat here debating that. I think it's just the way that it's been done. I think it's just, it's the, especially when there were all this talk about we've consulted with this, we've consulted with that. And Jen to just completely ignore it, go against it and just put a massive rise in there. It just doesn't send out the right message, does it? You feel like it could have been handled a lot better while still achieving the same result. And I do think, someone mentioned it earlier, 300, 350. Would that have really been much difference in financial terms for the club? I don't think so. 350. And I think people would have accepted it, wouldn't they?
It just feels like there's throughout a lot of what they do within the club, there's no long-term strategy. Last season it was, we'll keep it at 249 quid because we've got relegated. So this season where we're not pulling up any trees, there's a possibility that we'll stay down in the league. They're going to whack it up by, 70 and 80%. It just don't fit. They could have taken a little bit of heat last season and put it up to 300 quid, and people had had a bit of a whinge and a moan here and there, but it wouldn't have been anything like this. And then they could have put it up another 50 quid, but they just don't feel any long-term strategy. The way that they've gone about managers, there's no okay, this manager fits this style, this manager fits this style. We couldn't have got 3 different managers in the time that Kev's been here. you know, it all just feels a bit finger in the air job, you know, and it feels really short term type stuff, you know. Oh God, you know, we've got season tickets that are going to have to come out soon. You know, what's the situation at the minute? Oh, we need some money. Oh, put them up high price. You know, there's no thought long term. They don't feel like there's any kind of plan, and I think, you know, that's concerning, isn't it?
It's never felt that way, has it? It's never felt like, although we keep
No.
being told there's a plan, that's not what we're seeing, is it? Every sort of 6 months, we're kind of back to square one, aren't we?
You can't burn through the number of managers we do if you've got a fucking plan. Said that about Duff, you know, for better or for worse, at some point we have to stop sacking managers and we have to see these things out. And they chose, you know, first time Kevin started getting some heavy stick on Twitter, mostly about Cartwright. His response to that was to sack the manager. Because, of course, that's one step removed from Kevin having to take any responsibility for it not being right. You know, if he gets rid of Cartwright, that's an admission that he got it wrong. And that seems to be a bit of a sticking point for him at times, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just another day in the life of a Huddersfield fan, I guess. It's always something, isn't they? And I mean, look, maybe under Worthy the football will be better and we'll play, you know, we'll score loads of goals and it'll be really entertaining, and then we'll think, do you know what, actually it's all right, it's a bargain. But judging by the football over this season, I thought 250 were overpriced, to be quite honest. So it's I don't know. I'm just a bit. It's one of them. I'm torn because I know for the sustainability of the club and with all the regulations, it was needed to a degree, but it's the way they've gone about it, and I just hate fans potentially being excluded from the club, because football should be for everybody, not just for people that can afford, you know, to put 400 quid down on a ticket. You know, and I agree, Tris, like we should be encouraging young kids to come. And I'm not sure 99 quid really encourages that much. But
No.
Guys, I'm going to wrap it up. We've done nearly an hour there. Have you anything more to add? Anything else caught your eye in the announcement before we close it?
I think just one last thing, Nick. I think, and we've talked about this before, around kind of the football side of things. Honestly, I think they need a louder voice in the club that is more in tune with kind of the local people, English football, you know, the way that English football works, etc. You know, and I'm not saying that Edwards and Cartwright haven't been involved in English football, etc., but they've also been away from English football, you know. And I realise Reeves was at Sheffield United, but again, you know, a club with big support, kind of inner city, you know, decent kind of backing from its ownership and stuff like that. It isn't the same. And I you know, as much as I'd love to kind of say that we could kind of match that level. Being honest with you, Huddersfield isn't as big as Sheffield, and it competes with probably a lot bigger clubs within a local region. So someone that is, you know, Sean Jarvis was very in touch with the community and very in touch with the people around, and I think someone of that ilk being back involved in the club would be beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah.
Agree.
Matthew says the jury will be well and truly out on Nagel now. Well, I think it will for quite a few fans. I'm similar to Gaz, you know. I don't think he means ill, or I think he's trying his best and he's putting money in, but I think it could be better, couldn't it? I think it could be a lot better. The way we run things, the way we plan, the way we communicate with the fans, listening, understanding.
That's an interesting comment from Tom about DTS, by the way, because I think that has been a real theme of Kevin's ownership as those kind of people, Anhoff,
Bit the
DTS.
dust.
DTS was a board director, not anymore. And those people are well and truly sidelined.
I went to Stevenage, and DTS was going down on the train, bringing David Taylor and another bloke down on the train with him. And Jake Edwards and Cartwright, when we rocked up at the stadium, were already there. So you can't tell me that he's popular within the ranks.
No.
Yeah.
Steve Wright's made a good point there, look.
Yeah, it's a big impact on legacy, isn't it? And that's the point. Not just kind of people that have gone for years, but again, and I sound like a broken record, but kids coming through as as the future of the club. It impacts on that massively.
It's not the club that we knew when we went up to the Prem, is it? It's fast changing, and hopefully for the better. But it's not great at the moment. There just isn't that connection, that togetherness I'm sensing between the fans and the club, and I'm not sure if that's going to return anytime soon, unfortunately. But yeah, it's been all smiles again, guys, hasn't it? I'm sick of this. We had a positive pod last time, and I hope for more positive ones. But yeah, it's been a bit of a kick in the teeth to some fans. This, I think. Blue Terrier says, would love to know if Nego would pay £439 if it was a similar situation financially to us. Yeah, who knows? Although I will say that sport in America, it is quite pricey, isn't it? It's like if you look at the Sacramento season tickets, maybe that's what he's used to. Maybe he's thinking, what's all the fuss about? It's still a hell of a lot cheaper than it is over here, and fair enough. But they haven't had an 80% increase overnight, have they? So it's all relative, isn't it? But guys, thank you so much for all your comments. I knew it's an emotive topic, and there's a lot of debate. It's been really good, sort of browsing through social media and seeing all the debate on there. And it's great that you've all brought your comments and your questions into this pod. We do appreciate it. If you'd be so kind, subscribe on YouTube. It really helps us out, on Spotify. And yeah, keep listening. And if you want to join the pod, just DM us and you can come on. It's for everyone. Everyone can have the say. Everyone can come on. It's not a closed shop. Gaz, Tristan, thank you so much for joining me tonight. This late hour. And yeah, let's hope that the product on the pitch in future is going to justify these prices, eh? And I'll be wanting a nice cushioned armchair for my seat with a drinks holder and a massage feature in if them prices. But now let's see what develops over the coming days and weeks. But thank you so much, and yeah, we'll see you again for the next episode soon. Up the town.